What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Gore, and I have a combo pack for you today. I've got the next 2 weeks worth of games to pick. Obviously, the picks are for this week are already listed, and then I'll just kind of do a rundown of the games for next week since we don't exactly know what the picks are going to be. Reason being, I'm going away. I'm headed back home, my wife and I, to back home to spend time with my family for Thanksgiving. So that is what I've got on tap for the next 10 days or so. So I wanted to kind of just get the next 2 weeks out at once, and then when I get back from vacation, we'll go ahead with we'll continue on with the weekly stuff for Championship Saturday, and then get into bowl season and College Bowl Mania, which we will be doing as well. So with that being said, let's get into this coming Saturday's worth of games. I've already made the picks, and I'll just kind of quickly go through these a little bit, and then kind of just do a brief rundown of the games next week, because like I say, not quite sure what they're going to have up there. It's an important next couple of weeks, because as far as bowl eligibility is concerned, I think 10 to 12 teams, from based on my count, like still have to get bowl eligible in order to avoid the 5-7 situation. And I think James Madison and somebody else, Jacksonville State, I think, are applying for waivers and whatnot. So still a bit of work to do for certain teams. You got 80 teams to fill, right, for these 40 bowl games. So it's a pressure-packed couple of weeks for these teams, kind of hovering around 6 wins. So, but anyways, let's get into it. My 10-point game is James Madison. I stupidly went against them, figuring that they just wouldn't win everything. I mean, maybe maybe the waiver thing and the not being eligible for a bowl is kind of a chip on their shoulder, because they continue to just pound out wins and look really, really good doing it. I have respect for Appalachian State as a program. They've always, they've been good for a long, long time now. Not having the greatest of year this year, 6-4 is probably a down year for them, but give me this machine of James Madison to kind of keep it going here and kind of further solidify their case. There should be no reason why they should need a waiver anyway. This team should just be in the mix. It's a stupid rule. It shouldn't happen. Nonetheless, I think it would be insane if the waiver wasn't granted. They should be in a bowl game. They're 10-0. And in the event that, what are you going to do? Leave a 10-0 team, leave a potentially undefeated team out, and put a 5-7 team who doesn't really deserve it in? That is ridiculous. Should not be happening. So I think cooler heads will prevail, and James Madison will get to a bowl game. And I like him again just to kind of keep it rolling here. My number 9 game, as you can see, is Iowa. I hate this Iowa team. I really do. I can't wait for Brian Ferentz to hit the road so I can actually maybe watch some Iowa games and watch some competent offense. But they win on defense. Like, that's all they do. They smother you. I said it last week. I felt bad for Rutgers, and they didn't score. They got shut out. I think it could be a slightly similar situation here. Illinois is going to find it hard to score. Iowa's going to find it hard to score, but so is Illinois. And I could see this being another, 10-3 game, something stupid like that, but Iowa's going to win it because that's how they win. Moving on to the other team from Iowa State, they get Texas at home. Texas has been playing with fire the last lately. They're hanging in there, but their kind of potential to blow games is becoming apparent. Quinn Ewers is coming off the injury again, and he doesn't look great. But they're loaded. They should be winning by comfortable margins, right? But they're kind of hanging on at this point. And Iowa State's on a bit of a heater, so I am worried about this game a little bit. But I just can't. I don't know. This one was a bit hard for me. I think Texas will win, but I think they're going to have to dig this one out again. And like I say, they're really, really flirting with it. So I wonder if this is a game where they get picked off, because it's the writing's been on the wall a little bit. But I'm going to pick Texas and kind of hope. Moving on, North Carolina is back to being North Carolina. They're just back to playing shit defense, and it's hurting them in a big way. I don't think this is a good spot for them here. I'm picking Clemson. Clemson's offense has been a bit better. And they can play. They're going to be able to play enough defense in this game where North Carolina, I think, is going to struggle. So I think this is a nasty spot for North Carolina. I just don't trust them. Like I say, I know their offense is going to move the ball well, but uh, the end of this season, it's a revert back to the mean type of thing with with North Carolina and the way they play defense. So give me Clemson, and we'll move on here. SMU Memphis. This is a very important game in the American because it's kind of a logjam at the top in this remade American conference. There are a lot of teams. I think there are 4 or 5 teams still legitimately in the mix. These are 2 of them, and now they get this late season matchup that the winner is going to really be in a good spot. And I like SMU. I've been looking at lines lately to try and kind of get a read. So something's funky about this game that SMU in a game like this, to 2 8-2 teams, SMU is like an 8-point favorite or something like that, roughly. So they might know something that I don't exactly know right off the bat. So I'm going to just pick SMU. Hopefully it's a closer game than that. Like I say, it's a very important one in the American, but I will lean SMU on the road. Speaking of something smelling funny with lines, now Louisville, Miami is basically basically a pick'em at this point. So I haven't looked at like an injury report or anything, and I know Louisville's kind of again in that Texas mold where they've kind of played around with throwing a game away, and I know they took the bad loss. But I don't know. I just don't buy this Miami team. I think they're just average, and I don't, unless there's some injuries that I don't know about in some sort of situation that I'm not very aware of. I don't really have faith in this Miami team, and not yet with Mario Cristobal. So I'm going to take Louisville on the road. It'll probably be a close game, like I say, especially if I'm not picking up on something. But the line is surprising, so I put a few points on Louisville here. Because I don't know, I'm sorry, I just don't see my I know they're competitive with Florida State last week, but that's a huge rivalry game. Like you're gonna get all up for that, and I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna take Louisville. Speaking of rivalries, Kansas State, Kansas. I love the end of the year because you get all these in-state rivals and the big rivalry games and the trophy games, and what's not to like about college football? The only thing I don't like is that it's almost over, and then we gotta wait month after month after month for it to come back again. But Kansas State, Kansas. Again, this is another one. Kansas State is a bigger favorite than I thought. Now, I know Kansas has had a bunch of injury issues, right? And I can never fully trust Kansas State. But I'm going to trust the line maybe and just go with Kansas State here. In general, I like Kansas and I like picking them. But I'm going to go with Kansas State here. I'm going to assume that the line makers know something that I don't, and I'll pick Kansas State. Again, I don't. They're kind of, I don't know. They're fairly conservative on offense. It's, but they play good defense, and like I say, it's the rivalry game. You kind of maybe throw records and things out the window. Of course, they're both ranked. I can't remember the last time Kansas and Kansas State played each other ranked. I'd have to think about that. It's been a while because obviously Kansas has been terrible for a good bit. Good game. Give me Kansas State close, and we'll move on. I love this next game, UNLV Air Force. What a treat this is to have these teams at 8-2. UNLV is just having a great bounce back year. They've kind of emerged as in the group of 5. They've been way down for years. Air Force is backing up a bit. They were 8-0. They were playing great. They were ranked. Everybody was talking about them. And then they kind of shit the bed the last 2 weeks. And the thing is, like I say, with the military academies, it's kind of always the same thing. If you can pull them out of their triple option, if they can't run the ball all over the place on you, and play the way they want to play, like if you can get a lead on them and force them out of that a little bit and put pressure on them to score on offense, it's a danger zone. And I think UNLV could potentially do that here. But I'm going to pick Air Force to right the ship a little bit at home, stop the 2-game losing streak, and kind of get back on track, get to that running bane, stay ahead of the chains and whatnot. But I'm going to be watching a lot of this game this weekend. It's going to be really fun. Like I say, I enjoy the comeback stories in UNLV. It's nice to see them at 8-2. But give me Air Force to get off to Schneid. Now the next 2 games, again, another week, another set of beauties in the Pac-12. Every single week, and it's not going to change next week either with Oregon State, Oregon. But Oregon State this week has to worry about Washington, and I wonder if the rivalry game might play a role in this. This is a really, really hard game for me to pick. I've leaned Washington here because of the playoff implications. I feel like they understand that they really, the committee is not, the committee is keeping them on the outside here. They're keeping them at 5, while Florida State is kind of playing. I think if you were to, think quick, who's playing better, Washington or Florida State? You'd probably say Washington, right? But the committee's not putting them ahead of ahead of Florida State. So they need something big here, I think, in order to leap Florida State. And, I know the Ohio State-Michigan result is going to play a role in this. But I think Washington needs to make a statement. I think they need to kind of take care of business and show the committee, like, hey, we're here and we're not going anywhere. So give me Washington in this game. I love Oregon State. I love the way they play. And I just love the home environment there. But I'm going to lean Washington. Like I say, Washington really, really needs this game in a big way to kind of influence the committee. So give me them. And then my 1-point game for the week is a game that I really, really struggled with. Arizona's had a fantastic year. They've come out of nowhere. 7-3, playing really, really good. Jed Fish has got them apparently turned around, and they've got young players. The young quarterback is playing great. And Jaden Delore wasn't playing bad either. But it's just he got hurt. Utah, it's the same thing with Utah, right? Like, I know they're going to play defense. And the question is with all their injuries, can they manufacture enough offensively? And I think Bryson Barnes, in this case, can do that. And I'm going to trust, in this game, I'm going to trust Utah's defense against the young, emerging Arizona team. They've had a great year, but I think they might run into a bit of a roadblock here with Utah. So I'm going to take them on the road. Here I am picking a bunch of road teams again. Maybe that's why I'm 56-54 on the year. I can't wait for the regular season to get over with and just flush it. It's my worst year ever. I'm pretty sure it's my worst year ever picking. And we'll kind of wrap up the season in a couple of weeks and get ready for the bowl games to sort through, which I love. Now, that's it for this current week. I did want to flip over to just, sorry to blind you, but the schedule is, it runs through Thanksgiving. So you got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you have a little bit of Tuesday Maction, which I haven't really gotten into on this channel because it's, it happens during the week, and it's, it's the MAC, right? It's fun to watch. It's football on occasion, but it is the MAC. Now, Thanksgiving night, you get Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Don't see much here. I mean, it could be, again, it's the Egg Bowl. It's the rivalry. But Mississippi State just fired Zach Arnett. They've been a bit of a mess this year. It's not been pretty. I don't think Mississippi State has a legitimate shot at a bowl. I think they have 7 losses now, don't they? So I think they're done as far as the bowl thing goes. But it is a rivalry. You never know. You could get a close game. But, I think Ole Miss will clean up Thanksgiving night. Now, the Friday, you got a slate of games on Friday. Is there anything notable here for me? Iowa and Nebraska will probably be, hopefully it's a decent game. Like I say, anything that involving Iowa, I want to throw up. But it's one of the ones to watch here in this group. UTSA Tulane is a really, really good game in the non-Power 5. 2 really, really good teams. I think UTSA, like I say, you can only rank 25, right? UTSA, probably one of the better teams that are not ranked. So I'll be looking for a close game there. Texas Tech at Texas. Like I say with Texas, they have been flirting with disaster, and they have had issues with Texas Tech before. And if they get the win this coming weekend, there will be an immense amount of pressure on them to take care of Texas Tech at home and go into the Big 12 title game. But like I say, those Red Raiders, they've given them trouble. So look out for that one. And then the big one Friday night is Oregon State, Oregon. Like I say, just another week in the Pac-12 where you're going to have a huge game. I don't even know. I mean, I might lean Oregon because of the way they're playing. I mean, they're really playing solid football. I mean, they're really physical, running the ball. Bo Nix is a legitimate Heisman contender. Could argue he could be the front runner, right, with Penix. Really, really good stuff from the Pac-12 this year. As I've said repeatedly, it's a shame this league is going. It's just a tragedy. But give me maybe Oregon and a slight lean in the rivalry game with Oregon State, but you never know. Could be similar to Bedlam, right, where Oregon State wants to send Oregon off to the Big Ten. with a loss. Could very well happen. And then you move to the Saturday slate, Iron Bowl. Not really looking for much there. I don't think Auburn is in a position to hang with Alabama. I don't like. People are heaping. Oh, sorry, that was a test of the emergency alert system. So, okay, sorry about that. Um, Alabama, Jalen Milroe is they're heaping praise on him all of a sudden, and it's like, he's still the same guy. He's still the guy who throws the deep ball well and can run around a lot. And yeah, I guess in a college system that works. But he's not a polished quarterback at all. I think Alabama's ranked a little bit by name this year more than anything else. But again, I don't think this is going to be much of a threat in the Iron Bowl here. I think Alabama will clear out Auburn and get ready for the SEC title game. Some of the other games notable, obviously Kentucky-Louisville rivalry game. You never know there. Arizona State, same situation. North Carolina, NC State, the in-state rivalries show up. I think all will be interesting games to watch. Colorado at Utah. Colorado is going to need this game, and whoever they play this week to get to bowl eligibility. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that losses to Stanford and Arizona State and Arizona. You can't lose those games. Those were the windows for Colorado to get to a bowl game, and they kind of blew it, unfortunately. Now, obviously the big game of the week is next weekend is Ohio State and Michigan. Michigan is really using this stuff as motivation, regardless of the reality of it, of the cheating and counter stallions and stuff like that. They are really, really using it as motivation. But to me, with all that said, it's real, and Michigan State absolutely has to win this game, right? I don't believe either of these teams, right? The winner is in, the loser is out, I think, is the way it's going to go, because you have all these other teams that are worthy teams making their case for the playoff. I really, really think that the winner of this game is in, and the loser is out. And I don't think there's any wiggle room there. I slightly like Ohio State, though. I think they're ready to kind of, they're annoyed. They've lost to Michigan a few times already. I think it's going to be a classic because the last few have been great. Michigan's been a little dominant in the last couple, but it's kind of nice to see because they had been getting run over by Ohio State. It wasn't a competitive rivalry, and now it is. But I like Ohio State slightly to kind of make the committee's job a little bit easier and get Michigan out of the picture. But again, going to be a classic, going to be a great game. Just kind of looking down the slate here, Wisconsin, Minnesota, right? The Axe. Love watching that game just for that alone. They're not great teams, but it's a huge rivalry, and it's the Axe. What more needs to be said? Florida State, Florida. Again, Florida State, important. They've got teams nipping at their heels, right, with Washington, and they, to me, they're the team that's in, but they're in the most tenuous spot because the schedule hasn't been great, and they've just looked a little off. So they really need to take care of Florida. That'll be a game to watch. Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's improved. Georgia has had some issues with us with slow starts and stuff like that. So maybe that's a close competitive game, but I think Georgia will be fine there. Clemson, South Carolina is the other in-state rivalry game in the evening window. Look, South Carolina it's Beamer ball, right? So forget it. Give me Clemson in that one, and I think that pretty much, like I say, I don't know what's going to be in the picks for next weekend, so I'll pick them separately. But I just kind of wanted to give a shout to the rest of those games because I won't be obviously able to make a video onto itself for them next week. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit me with a like, drop a comment. Would love to hear from you, and subscribe to my channel. Hit that subscribe button for more weekly content, and I will see you guys after Thanksgiving if you're celebrating. Obviously, if you're from the U.S., it's a big deal. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and I will see you guys when I return.